Good evening, everyone. Thank you to you brave souls for coming out on this very frigid evening. We certainly appreciate it. At this time, Mr. Italiano, roll call. Oh, actually, before we start that, I entertain a motion to reconvene in open session.
So moved. Second.
Been properly moved to reconvene in open session. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same right. We are now back in open session. Mr. Italiano, roll call, please.
Ms. Dallin,
Here.
Ms. Franco Herman,
Here.
Dr. Wang,
Here.
Ms. Filak,
Here.
Ms. Harris,
Here.
Ms. Lecker Jernigan,
Here.
Ms. Norgan,
Here.
Ms. Spina,
Present.
Mr. Todd.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now rise for the salute of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I don't believe we have our student rep here today, so we'll move right into superintendent's report and/or presentations.
Tonight, just a report. Good evening, everyone. Is this working? At the high school, the annual Cougars versus Cancer Showcase, hosted by the high school's girls and boys basketball programs, raised $15,197 to donate to cancer research. All were very excited to exceed the goal of $15,000. Every year they exceed. For the 24-25 school year, over 300 students were invited to apply for membership in the National Honor Society based on their academic accomplishments at the high school. Of the 300 students, 77 met the requirements of service, leadership, and character, including Sophia, our student rep, and were inducted as members of the National Honor Society on January 13th. The high school Peer to Flower babies are back. 38 seniors from Peer 2 groups are participating in Parenting Flower Baby Project, bringing a lot of smiles and laughs to the high school hallways as they learn some of the responsibilities associated with having a little one at their side at all times. Except the flower bags don't cry, and so they're having too much fun. No, it's all good. At UMS, they're off to an amazing start for the new year. The students warmed our hearts with a beautiful, inspiring winter concert. The winter athletes are making an impact with every game and match, showcasing their talent at home and away. Some of the sculpture and ceramic students have been selected to have their sculptures displayed at the Montgomery Township Library. Upcoming events include student production of the Right Night event, the Principal Round Table community event, Cougar Care Days, and a pep rally. The 5th and 6th grade band and choir and orchestra concerts were a great hit. Rehearsals for Spring Seussical Musical are underway. LMS hosted its first Principal Roundtable on Thursday, January 16th. LMS is grateful to all those parents who participated and shared their thinking with the administration. They are looking forward to hosting a second Principal's Roundtable later this year. On Friday, January 17th, LMS hosted its first Ed Camp of the year, allowing students to connect with peers who share their interests while diving into their favorite passions. In December, Village Elementary School was delighted to welcome back an annual favorite, the Princeton Symphony Orchestra's Bravo Music Education Program. Professional musicians introduced third graders to the string instrument family. During the fun, engaging, and interactive assembly, third graders learned about the characteristics of each instrument, how each one contributes to the melody, harmony, and rhythm of a song. Students expressed interest in playing an instrument in 4th grade, which is the foundation for our district's highly regarded instrumental music program. The Band 1 and Band 2 students held their first band concerts, performing an impressive selection of songs to the audience's delight and amazement. This week, the 4th grade chorus will hold its first concert. 4th grade full orchestra rehearsals began this month, and Village looks forward to their concert in March. Village held its 30th annual Young Scholars Institute Service Project, which was a success thanks to the support and generosity of the entire community. VES peer partners built a box truck and took a trip to deliver holiday gifts to the Young Scholars Institute in Trenton. On January 30th, Village Elementary School Principal will host the first Principal's Roundtable of the year entitled Code of Conduct, Cultivating a Positive Community with Shared Values, Consistent expectations, and student empowerment. That concludes the superintendent report.
Thank you, Superintendent McLaughlin. We'll now move to committee and representative reports. First up, MTA report, Mr. Mazzola.
Good evening, everyone. The MTA is excited to continue to support the community in 2025. The virtual read alouds will resume tomorrow night. The book is Friends Are Friends First. We're excited to see all of our students in attendance. The MTA will also be supporting the Winter Bowl this year. The Winter Bowl is an ongoing event here in the district that's just amazing and really highlights our community and what it's all about to be a Montgomery Cougar. If you have never been a part or in attendance to this event, I urge you to do so. The positive energy and good feeling when you leave that room is just incredible and overwhelming. The other big item for the MTA is Music from the Heart. The show will be Once Upon a Mattress. The MTA is really excited to put on such a wonderful performance this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mazzola. Do we have any board member, delegate, and representative reports tonight?
I have two. I have, the first one is the MSEPTA. I was in for Board Member Dowling, who was unable to attend, so I went to the MSEPTA meeting where a bunch of information was given from a company called Empower Ed Mindful Solutions. It was a presentation that took about 20 minutes, and it were two educators that the MSEPTA, which is the Special Education Parent Group, brought in to have talked with their members. And it was really, like, the big takeaway was trying to really help parents know some general questions to ask, how to prepare for an IEP meeting. They gave some concrete advice about familiarizing yourself with the draft of an IEP ahead of time. They took some Q&A, and it was a really informative meeting. Then they gave some updates. The dance, the MSEPTA dance, is the biggest fundraiser that they put on each year. It will be held at the Elks on March 14th this year, and it's going to be an 80s theme. There's usually an auction, a bake sale, and honestly, it's their biggest fundraiser. It provides the funds that they then give to administer grants to the staff, which they recently fulfilled a grant application for one of our elementary school teachers. And many of the parents that were on the call said that they spoke very highly of a recent event that MSEPTA held at the Elks also, which was a limited number of people, and it made for a lot of good connections between families. So the dance, again, helps to fund senior scholarships that MSEPTA gives every year, as well as teacher grants. And please consider coming to the dance on March 14th. We'll go out into the community for items to auction. And last I heard, they were still looking for a DJ. So if anybody knows of anyone, please let us know. And the other update I have is from the Municipal Alliance meeting, which happened on January 13th. Some of those updates were talking about a Let Me Run program that's going to be started for boys in grades 5, 6, 7, and 8, and possibly even BES, similar to our Girls on the Run program, but this is something for the boys, and they're still seeking the facilitator, but hopefully that's underway. Another update was something that is going to be in conjunction with the high school, trying to do lunch and learns, having speakers come for career path, like talk about their career pathways, something that's not necessarily as traditional of a pathway, high school, college, and therefore, but maybe something that, people take their windy roads sometimes, so maybe they can share some of those paths with our students. They're thinking to start small at this point. They're trying to plan, it says 2 per month, and I'm sure that we will hear more about this from Mr. Delgado as he's working with Ms. Huff and the Municipal Alliance for this. updates that they said was that they are seeking grants for funding for gap year for our Youth Action Board, or YAB, which is being covered by Ms. Grossman while Ms. Lockenauer is performing her duties as Teacher of the Year. And I think the only other thing was some upcoming things that the Municipal Alliance Committee had wanted to talk about is that, well, tonight was the first book club for the Anxious Generation. And I know a couple of us signed up for that, and then we were double booked for this. So we'll have to go to the next book club meeting for that. But tonight was their launch of that. Beat the Winter Blues is happening January 30th. And look for info coming for February 13th, a virtual program called Love Shouldn't Hurt, about teen dating violence awareness. So we always look forward to the community connection with Municipal Alliance and the things that they do with our schools. That is it for my 2 items.
Thank you, VP Spina. Any questions on VP Spina's report? Hearing none. Do we have any other representative reports this evening? Hearing none. We'll move to board committee reports, and I believe the only one we have for this evening is ACI, with Board Member Dowd.
Hey, good evening, everyone. We met on January 17th, both virtually and in person. And I just wanted to mention that 2 of the 3 agenda items were really wonderful to hear because they were very specific in addressing some of the comments and feedback that we've been getting in the past, particularly about servicing our students sort of in that middle to upper range. So it's really exciting to hear one of the initiatives in ACI. And then secondly, the communication piece that we've been talking so much about as a board and being able to better communicate with our constituents. So 2 things to report on that end, which was really exciting. Number 1 was the capstone. There's an AP capstone course coming. And again, it's going to be an AP seminar and an AP research course. And the real goal of this is to have broad access to the course for average and above average students. And it has to be really based on interest, which is really exciting. So it will take shape for 10th and 11th graders in the fall of 2025. This foundational course looks at research, writing proposals, and presentation skills. I'm sorry, the AP research will begin in 2026-27 school year. The research course follows the seminar course. Initially, they start with 1 section of AP research. Prerequisites are teacher recommendations and an application. And the students' final presentations will be videotaped, reviewed, and then scored by the College Board. This is to be pushed out to all students and spoken about in classes, so that's an exciting opportunity. The German exchange continues. This is open to students who have taken at least 1 year of German. It's a fully immersive experience for students. While they are in Germany, they interact with teachers. They have full class assignments, attend social events, and live with an actual host family. And then those students come to us. So we reciprocate the experience. They come to our school for 10 full days with their partner school students. The German students attend field trips and sports activities here. The district has participated in this program since 1985 with a small break in time and then consistently since 2007. We engage in this experience every 2 years, and this is again interest-driven, not related to our budget. And then the second piece that I talked about was this communication piece through the program of studies. And so quite a bit of work has been done both to the UMS and the MHS program of studies. And a lot of it is aesthetic-wise, so that it's more user-friendly in terms of when you're on this document to be able to really scroll and find what you're looking for. So I very much encourage the public to look out for those 2 documents that can really explain the course selections. There have been a couple of minor changes to the UMS program of studies, primarily in the theater arts. The theater arts class has been changed to be titled the Theater Arts Exploration class. And then in the MHS, again, a lot of the work has been done to the aesthetics so that it can be more digitized and you can get to the table of contents and to the actual places of information that you want to get to and reference. FAFSA information has also been included in this document and with graduation requirements. And then lastly, we reviewed the norms for our committee, which again, we have 2 new committee members, so we welcome Christina Harris and Dr. Tang. So, good meeting overall. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a question. With the FAFSA graduation requirement, did you talk about how that's going to be monitored?
We did not. They simply just stated that the information is in the new program of studies for MHS, but I can certainly get that question for you, answered for you.
I have a question.
How it's going to be monitored, sorry, in terms of parents,
Well, the students are fulfilling that requirement.
right, yeah.
Misha, a very exciting program, German exchange program.
Yes.
Really love it. I was wondering, any possibility of including any other places in the future?
So one of the board members actually asked that question, and at this time, there have been no proposals put forward, but the principal of the high school said that, certainly they would entertain different proposals that came their way.
So how does this work? Like the countries, they will reach out to us, or we reach out to them? How does it work?
I don't know the genesis of this program. Again, it's been in place since 1985, so I'm assuming that it was maybe 2 teachers that talked back and forth to one another. I can get you the specifics. I don't know exactly the genesis of this program, but that's my understanding in terms of if we wanted other types of programs of this nature, that it would need to be for a connection or a communication between the 2 schools.
Thank you.
Sure. How are we?
Any other questions for Board Member Dowling? All right, hearing none. At this time, I entertain a motion to approve the following minutes. December 2nd, 2024, Executive Session 1. December 2nd, 2024, Special Meeting. December 17th, 2024, Executive Session 1. December 17th, 2024, Executive Session 2. And December 17th, 2024, Business Meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second to approve the aforementioned minutes. Roll call, please. Any discussions on the minutes? Roll call, please, Mr. Taliano.
Ms. Dowling,
Yes.
Ms. Franco Herman,
Yes.
Dr. Wang,
Yes.
Ms. Phelan,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Zuleika Jernigan,
Yes.
Ms. Norgand,
Yes.
Ms. Spina,
Yes.
Mr. Todd.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion carries.
thank you. At this time, there's no correspondence to the board. The Board of Education welcomes and encourages input from the public. Members of the public are allotted 1 opportunity to address the board regarding the action agenda items only for up to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. All comments must be directed to the board. Before you make your comment, please state your full name and address and enter both on the Chromebook provided. Being mindful of privacy rights regarding students, board employees, and board members, and to avoid any liability on the part of the speaker, the board discourages defamatory and discourteous remarks. The public comment portions of this meeting are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather are offered as opportunities for the public to share their thoughts with the board. The board may need to refer an issue to the superintendent if the issue has not been handled through the appropriate chain of command, usually starting at the school level. Responses may be provided at the end of this session. Please specify the action agenda item number prior to you speaking.
Hello, I am a Bellmead resident. I want to comment on agenda item 3.3 related to committee assignments. The board president assigned board member Harris and Franco Herman to the finance and curriculum committees. The School Ethics Commission issued an advisory opinion A15-23 for these board members and instructed them they were not allowed to sit on a finance and curriculum committees until the union negotiations concluded. They are restricted from sitting on these committees as well as voting on issues that remotely touch upon the interests of union members in our district. These committee assignments violate the School Ethics Commission directive, demonstrating the disregard for the laws by this board and arrogance of the board president. This board took an oath to act in the best interest of our community and to obey the laws. I want to hear an explanation as to why the board president violated the public trust that the law are followed by making these unlawful committee assignments. I want to know if the conflicted board members, Harris and Franco Herman, accept these assignments in full knowledge they're creating perception of violation of the law and thus damaging the trust, public trust in integrity and good faith public service.
Any other comments on action items?
Karen Anderson, Belmead. Ditto is all I have to say. Thank you. I have the same request.
Any other comments on action items? To address the two comments, and the stance of the board remains the same. The AO opinions, which have not been made public by the School Ethics Commission, has been addressed at previous board meetings, so I'll refer you to those videotapes to review the comments from myself, the vice president, and the school board attorney. Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept agenda items 1.1 through 4.8.
Okay, before we have the motion second, just have to make a notation to our agenda after it's advertised that we're going to withdraw item 4.1B4. Thank you.
Can we have a comment before we vote?
Okay.
Can we have a comment about,
During the discussion. Is there a motion to accept these items?
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved to accept agenda items 1.1 through 4.8. Any discussion on the motion?
I have two things, but I'm wondering whether or not we can have 2.3. If you look at, it's called ESL education, and if you notice in the changes that were in the high school program of studies, it changed it to MLED, so multilingual education. I don't know, is a descriptor for that.
So I actually asked the same question when I went through the agenda, and they said the staff is still called ESL staff. That's the certification from the state of New Jersey. That's why we're keeping it ESL staff at ML program.
Okay. And then the other thing was about 3.10. Can that equipment, can we look into at least donating that equipment to, it looks like it's all gym equipment.
So that's an excellent question. After reviewing what the equipment was for liability reasons, after assessing it and the age of the equipment, I didn't think for safety and the lack of condition of the equipment that it would be able to be utilized by somebody else. I understand your point, and if the items were in better condition, we would entertain that decision.
Okay, thanks for letting me know.
Sure.
so I struggle with the assignments to the committees as well. So the New Jersey School Ethics Act states that it is essential that the conduct of members of local boards of education and local school administrators hold the respect and confidence of the people. These board members and administrators must avoid conduct which is in violation of the public trust and which creates justifiable impression among the public that such trust is being violated. So I would like to understand why the board members are put in position today to cast the vote either against the assignment of the conflicted board members or to approve their assignments but violate the board public trust. I really struggle with that distinction because it's unfair to our board members to be the focus of the unpleasant public discussion. And we have 2 new board members who are fully capable and willing to step into serving on additional committees, and we could have a really, valuable conversation about additional assignments, maybe like in the summer when, all the issues are resolved. So I want to understand because I'm very troubled by the vote that I will need to cast today.
So as you know, Maria and I have vetted the choices that we made. We talked through many hours of discussion, and we feel that the selections we made are proper. Now, each board member was allotted time, and they were allotted decisions to decide where they want to be placed on each committee, as you're well aware of that. And really what everyone needs to understand, that each board member is responsible for their own decisions. No, I'm not here to police anybody's decision, and no other board member is here to police someone else's decision. Every person is responsible for every single decision that they make.
I agree with you that we all have personal decisions to make, but as a board president, you're the only one who can actually make this committee assignments and create impression to the public whether or not we as the full board are compliant. And that's what I struggle with.
Noted, thank you. Any other comments on the action item?
Yes, 3.9. We are paying parents to transport the student to Eden.
When there is a placement, we need to provide the transportation. So that's typical practice.
And we are paying only for 6 months.
I'm not familiar, I don't get involved that much with the curricular or student issues, but basically when the placement changes and the student situation places, I would assume it's within the dates that are presented here. That's when the student is attending this institution, that's when we have to provide the transportation. That's required.
So either we had transportation for the child, which we no longer have with the contracted service,
And
let's
could have
say,
changed.
or the student just got placed there and there is not a contract being picked up by a bus company.
I see. Maybe there is no bus, nobody's doing that.
Correct.
But the parents decided to transport themselves.
Right, this is an agreement we would make with them. The obligation gets put on them, but they get paid for that.
Any other questions on action agenda items? Do you have anything else? Board Member Nargon, do you have anything else?
Good, thank you.
Any other discussion on action agenda items? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Taliano.
Ms. Down,
Yes.
Ms. Franco-Herman,
Yes to all except, are we voting for each of the action items, right?
Yes.
yes, but you can, was there something else that you wanted to add?
No, yes to all, abstain 4.5, 4.6, and no to 3.12.
Noted, thank you. Dr. Wang?
Yes to all?
Thank you. Ms. Filak?
Yes to all, but on the item agenda 3.13, I vote no for the assignment of Christina Harris and Cookie Michael Feller.
Can I interrupt voting for discussion?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to discuss 3.12.
Okay.
So What's being asked for here is the approval for the New Jersey School Board Association as our policy and regulations service vendor of record, which would be a switch from Strauss Esme. I am not comfortable at this point myself. I will be voting no on this, and I just want to put that out there. This would be terminating the Strauss Esme Associates contract, and I don't think that we have all, as a board, gotten the full understanding of what the NJSBA policy and regulations service vendor is providing to us that is that much far away and above the others. Also, there have only been a small percentage of school districts in the state of New Jersey, where there's almost 600 districts, it's less than 10% of that have made that switch, and some have switched back. I know that Board Member Willek Jernigan has done extensive work on this, but I still don't think that we've gotten all of the information, and I just want to put that out there before we blindly vote on something.
Thank you. I'm going to make a comment to the board. If the board wasn't clear on the way we were voting, we have board members, and we vote in a block, but when we vote on the block, if there's something that you want to vote for, abstain from, or vote no for, essentially, Ms. Franco-Herman did there, you have to mention those items and what your choices are in the individual ones. If we weren't sure on what we were doing, I could restart the vote from the top, or would you like me to continue from where we were after Ms. Mina's explanation on that item?
I would ask for us to start again, but before we do that, I'd like to know how this got onto the agenda in this way.
It was at the request of the board member.
At the request of the
Yes.
board member, okay. So a board member can put an agenda item for vote?
They can request, absolutely.
The board president, superintendent, and the business administrator set the board agenda by our board policy. That's how our agenda is actually formulated. And within our board policy, that information was presented to me, and that's how I added it to our agenda, to be completely clear. That's why I wanted to give everybody understanding of what's happening and how we vote in a block. And if there's more discussion we could discuss, or I could just start from the top again if we would like to.
I would like to respond to the 3.12.
Okay? Yes.
So I've been on the policy committee for 2 years now, and we've had this discussion about potentially switching to NJSBA. As you guys know, we've shared comparisons between the way that Strauss Esme represents their policies. I've shared multiple times concerns about their constant mandating of certain policies that perhaps don't apply to some of our schools. I also discussed back in December here that I would like a vote on that, so it shouldn't be a surprise that it's on the agenda. But most importantly, I think that over the last few years, I've done extensive work just to show some of the comparisons. We just completed a wellness check from NJSBA. It's a service that allows boards to really have access to writing of proper policies for the school district. If you read the language in NJSBA policies, they're much more user-friendly policies where parents can clearly understand what's being asked of them. They're not legal language. Over the last 2 years, every month I come in here and I approve changes from student to pupil, from pupil to student. I don't know how that is cost-effective for the school district. Also, when you look at the policies and CUSAC policies, the mandatory policies for the school boards, part of the New Jersey School Board Association, the number of policies is very narrow, very focused, very specific. It addresses all of the legal concerns. It's much more, there's an ability for us to quickly update a policy or make changes to the policy. Last year, Mary brought a policy to me about American flag in the classroom. That policy still has not been instilled by Strauss Esme. We still don't have a draft of it. So I do find a lot of delays in that. There's really, perhaps because they serve so many school districts, they don't feel that it's necessary for them to work with us directly to make quick changes, apply new policies, allow us to adjust. So I'm a little surprised that the school board members sitting here, having heard me for the last 2 years speak about this, are now objecting to it. So I would like just a little bit more clarification of why.
Sure. So there's been a number of times that I have asked you, and I believe Board Member Dowling has also asked you for information, contact information from some school districts that you've spoken with that have moved over what they've felt about it. Never gotten any of that shared. I've given you lots of questions on documents that you've shared. I've sent them back with comments and questions that haven't been answered. So I am not comfortable at this point moving our policy to a company who has recently started and has had a few districts move to them, but some also then move away and back to Strauss-Esme.
So I think it's a little misleading, your comments. I felt like I've answered a lot of your questions throughout the process. Your last request was from a document that I shared a year ago, which a lot has changed in the year during the NJSBA, which I try to explain as far as board docs being the tool that they're utilizing. We know board docs are being utilized across many school districts. They're much more user-friendly website and the list of policies are there. So, and as far as contacts, I've attempted to do that. However, I can't force people to have a conversation with another human being. So, but I go to New Jersey school board meetings, to Somerset County meetings. That's where I speak with those folks. Feel free to join me to any of those sessions where you can have a live conversation. That's how I gather a lot of my insight from. Once again, 2 years on the policy committee. I've shared my concerns. We've done the wellness check. Our policies are not up to date. We still have a lot of work to do to clean up the Strauss-Esme policies. So once again, I'm a little concerned that this board is not willing to do what's right for the school district.
Do you know how many districts NJSBA represents currently?
Pardon?
How many districts school boards represents?
Well, they're growing right now. As you know, we had, when we had the representative from NJSBA come in, she's new. She started last year. They're growing their attorneys that can answer and build the policies. I don't remember the numbers. I think I answered that question before. I don't remember. It's definitely not as big as Strauss-Esme. However, if I look at the quality of work that they're producing today for the school district, and if I look at the response and how quickly they got on the call with me right away, and Mary during our policy session, they walked us through all of the details of what is different in NJSBA. So I do feel much more confident versus last 2 years with Strauss-Esme. I had one conversation and I have to funnel it through the leadership. So I just think it would be a better choice for us to move into a space where we as board members can address specific issues of the community, can build policies that help us drive continuous improvement instead of just checking the box every month during the board meeting. As you guys know, the reason I got involved in this, just to go back in history, is that we had a lot of community members come up and say that they don't understand how we represent the policies and how the policies are being reflected and changed. We used to just have a checkpoint approval of policy XYZ being changed. We didn't explain anything. Then we forced Strauss-Esme to give us a little bit more insight. Then I started reading the specifics of it. But once again, it doesn't seem as meaningful. There's no need for all the policies that we have in place. A lot of them are just reflecting what the law is, and the law is the law. There's no reason for that. We could really narrow it down and make it more meaningful for our school district and continue making more meaningful changes to the policies.
There are things that we have in our policies that are not law that I would want in our policies.
And they will remain there. Our change, as you saw in the wellness check,
So, but I don't think that that's a reason, because it's not a law. The laws, let the law be the law, and our policies be our policy. Laws can change. We've seen that happen before.
Absolutely, and just to clarify, the New Jersey School Board Association does update any state laws that are being changed in policies, and those would be the ones we receive on a regular basis. Obviously, they follow all the same rules and regulations. All I'm saying is that Strauss Esme often states a lot of laws that are not necessary to be part of the language of the policy. Policy should be something that a parent can read and understand what it is that's expected of them, what is this that's going to happen to their child, how can they go and interact with the school administration or school board. Right now, if you read our policies, they're very lengthy, a lot of them, and they have a lot of references to specific.
I think that policy needs to be there not just for the parents, though. There's policy that is for faculty, there's policy that is for vendors, there's policy that's for all sorts of things. Even there's policy as to how we advertise our board meetings. There's policy for how we run our board meetings.
Standard regulations,
Right.
yes.
So it's not only for one subgroup, it's for many different people. And I think that having a wealth of information versus paring it all down to.
Well, I think that administration and teachers are probably more familiar with it because it's part of their day job, so they understand it. I was looking at it from a perspective as a parent. When I go into the policy guide and I open up a policy, I'm confused, right? So I'm catering to where I think the gap is. I'm not saying that, administration and others don't know how to maneuver through that particular language, so.
So I also believe that there are people available in district that can make changes to our policies through Strauss Esme's or through our platform. And so things that can be cleaned up and done should be before I think a switch like this is made. I was actually really hoping that you were going to propose an ad hoc to do something like that.
I proposed an ad hoc. I had not a single person sign up for an ad hoc with me. And I'm sorry, you signed up.
Can you talk more about why you feel it's limiting to make some of these changes using Strauss Esme? I have to say, honestly, I just feel like the program is so much in its infancy. I mean, the representative herself said it. She said, we are in our infancy, we're still trying to figure out all the glitches, which again, I don't want to put our district in that predicament when this is not a rush, this is not something that we have to do. You've been an incredible vocal piece for this, but I'd love to hear from the entire policy committee. I've only heard your voice on this, and I want to make sure that when we make such a drastic move that we're really all in concert about why this is happening. And again, that the representative herself said that they were still in the infancy stage and that they're still figuring some things out. And why would we put ourselves in that kind of jeopardy?
They've been in place for a long time. I think what's changing right now is that they're expanding the program. So the program existed up until this point. What they're doing is expanding it, and that's part of the reason why I requested a wellness check, why we did the work with them, and they've done an incredible job. They have a list of districts. You heard her say we were on the wait list. So folks are taking advantage of this service, and there's a reason for it. Because people want to have a better policy written. If you look at the NJSBA website, you can see policy manual writing services. I can literally reach out to someone over the phone and they can help me with writing a policy that I feel is important for our school district, right? I don't have that access today. And just to go back to, like I said, I've been at it for 2 years. This is not new. I didn't just invent this, right? I feel this would be a great accomplishment for the school board to make that shift as New Jersey School Board Association is investing so much into that program and see the value in it. They're putting incredible people in charge of it. They're incredibly responsive. They want to work. They're hungry to help out. I mean, as a person that works in business, that's an opportunity for me, right? I would like to take advantage of that opportunity instead of wait for everybody else to transfer so then I can wait a year to transition to a program that maybe is being refreshed. But we talked about board docs being utilized. It's a great tool that's already being used by many school districts just for their board meetings. It's a quick, easy filter. You can find information much easier. All of these things to me are positive. So I'm curious to see why all of you feel that this is such a bad thing for the school district to go on and do something different that could benefit us. We're not hurting anyone in this process. All we're doing is improving the process that exists today. And like I said, this is not my first, discussion about this. I've been at it for 2 years. This is my year 3, being on the policy committee, as you saw. So, I don't know how I can another year spent trying to convince you that this is the right thing to do for our school district, as I've attempted to do. And just going back to as simple as things, like I still haven't gotten a clear answer from Strauss Esme why a lot of the policies that are being brought on are considered mandated, but when they're clearly guidance from the state, right? This will allow me to at least have a conversation with someone on the other side so we can do what's best for our school district.
Any other discussion on 3.12? Obviously, the discussion was not quite complete.
I have a small question. 3.12, okay. If we, just like Maria was saying, if we find it not that great as we're thinking, if we have to go back to the original Strauss Esme, will the cost go up at that point? Are we worried about the cost? So if we don't like it, we can go back like other schools. But somebody who's in business for so long, if they're working with so many schools, maybe there could be a time for a change to see something works differently. So that's my question is, can we go back if we don't like this?
Of course.
But there will be a cost associated with going back. Correct.
Well, I'm not sure how Strauss Esme, we've been with them for so long that I don't know what kind of contractual obligations we have, but there might be some additional cost, yes, to go back.
And then NJSBA, if we go with them, it's going to be for 1 year, or we are contractually obligated for a certain number of years?
So we have one-time startup, so it's beneficial for us to continue with them because of that initial cost that takes place during the change. Same thing with Strauss Esme. When we go back, there will be initial startup cost, and then we'll continue with the services that they offer us.
But wouldn't there be a saving by switching to NJSBA? Because since we are already members of NJSBA, by signing up for their board desk service, then we would not need to pay for the current service that manages our policies and the board meetings documents. So net, we actually will be saving money by making that switch.
When we did the initial analysis of the cost, you guys saw that the cost to NJSBA was much less than Strauss Esme. And because they switched to board docs, when Mary and I had a conversation with NJSBA during the policy committee, there was a board docs charge that we would be responsible for, because today we are not on board docs. But let's fast forward next year. Let's say we make a decision based on some of the other feedback from communications or other that we want to shift from our school boards to board docs, then that charge goes completely away, right? So we are members of New Jersey School Board Association. These are all services that are available to us, and we're capable of taking advantage of it, just like we did with the wellness check. And there's many other services that they offer. They offer writing a new manual, new policy manual. We can reassess all of the policies that we have in place. They will sit down with us. They will go one by one and help us figure out what's important to it. All the policies updates will be month by month, just like Strauss Esme. Nothing is changing in that. And all of them will be reflective of what the local legal changes are taking place.
And all of that was in all of the documents that you sent, like the side-by-side comparison. And you're saying that you haven't been able to speak to Strauss Esme at all. I think that it's great that we got the
I have been able to speak.
well, but then, but you said that they wouldn't answer you.
Look, Strauss Esme is a legal firm. We all know how legal firms work, right? There's a specific, you can talk to them, I was talking to a lady, but she couldn't answer any single one of my questions because I was asking difficult questions like mandates. What does that mean? How do we do it? She showed me how to use the website. I thought looking at their website, I was going to be able to see historical changes to our policies, which is what we were communicated from Strauss Esme. I was during my policy session. I went back, I looked at their website, I got special access. There's no history outside of dates. So I literally have to go back month by month, year by year, to every single policy document on our website. I don't think that's an effective way of me looking at it, right? I can't make decisions quickly and swiftly for the school board if I have to do all of that extensive work. I just don't see the value in it, and I would like, to Vanita's point, take a chance at something different and see how this last year as a school board member, I'd like to be part of something new and where we can start developing and delivering policies that would be beneficial for the school.
Any other discussion on 3.12?
Can I provide some input? I think, Anita, you sent me email, talked about the difference between the two agencies. Some of them will become like mandatory policy, you mentioned that too. And then if we switch to this new one, it seems this new policy gonna become a guidance for schools. Does that mean like schools as district have to make decisions? What are the mandatory, what are the optional ones?
No, the New Jersey School Board Association follows the state guidelines and guidance, right? The difference is that they will tell us, this is a new state guidelines that has been issued, right? Here's a sample policy that we have in place. Now, as a school board, we will make the decision. Because it's a guideline, it's not a mandate, we will make a decision whether this particular policy is something we want to adopt for our school district. Today in Strauss Esme world, we don't have that option. It's highlighted as a mandate, and we come in here and we say yes, and we vote yes for all the policies, and we don't look at it to see whether that makes sense for our school district, right? So it puts more work into the policy committee, basically, right? So, you know, I'm comfortable with that. I'm on the policy committee. I'm happy to do the work, right? If you guys want to do it for a year, if you hate it and I do a terrible job, then you guys can go back to Strauss Esme. But, you know, I've done enough research here to see extreme value in us moving into this new model of policy.
I think what you just discussed though on is a little bit nerve-wracking because now, you know, those parameters in terms of what we're given of what is and what isn't is now being taken away, and now it's going to be on us, right, in terms of liability. I mean, that...
All of it is vetted. If you look at
that's what I would
whether they
assume.
call it guidance or the law, that's what we're supposed to follow. If brought to court, they're going to say that the state gave you guidelines.
Correct.
So just because they call them guidelines and not the law, we're still supposed to follow.
Right, we still have to follow the guidelines, exactly. I don't think that we have that purview of just changing what we see fit in terms of what we want for our district.
New Jersey School Board Association is not going to put any district in jeopardy of what the state guidelines or mandates are. What it does, it allows us to have a clear understanding of what it is that we are going to pursue and how we're going to pursue it, so we can clearly explain it to the community versus more of a checking the box. And if we have a question, we have an ability to have a discussion about how we might want to tweak that policy, right?
But why can't we explain the policy to the public as it stands?
We can explain the policy, but you're looking at a ton of different policies, ton of different jargon from a legal perspective. If you compare the number of policies alone we have versus what's required of us, it's extensive. And part of it is driven by the fact that as a legal firm, those policies are being created from a legal perspective, not necessarily from a policy for the school perspective, if that makes sense. So we have thousands of policies versus if you look at CUSAC list, I think it's 150 policies that are required.
They change it every time so that they make sure, because they're
Absolutely,
they're
that's-
looking for
They're looking
thousands,
for
but they
samples.
can't look for thousands, so they just say 150 for each cohort that goes through.
So, but these are, these are the main policies that they're continuously updated. They continuously make sure that they follow the regulations. There's nothing different about it outside of the structure of the process and how policies read, how we can access them, how flexible we are in working with NJSBA. They provide us guidance, they provide us, legal resources to have that conversation, right? So, to me, it's nothing but benefits, right? I'm not sure. I've gotten a lot out of Strauss Esme over the last few years as far as, big changes or our ability to have a discussion or conversation. So, this is an opportunity for me to do something a little bit different and see if we can improve the whole process and have the community take advantage of maybe something a little bit more user-friendly and something that can be easily understood by everyone. Not just administrators who kind of work in that space every day and they understand what they're looking for. So that would be my recommendation. And I hope you guys have been at it with me for 2 years, that you don't object to it, because I'm not sure what else I can provide to you at this point, other than for us to just make a decision to proceed and do something a little bit different. And to Vani's point, if it doesn't work, if you guys are not satisfied with it, if I see that this isn't what we decided that was the right thing, which that's not the feedback I'm getting, that's not the reviews that they're getting. I don't see a lot of risk in here. Like I said, this is a brand new program. NJSBA is very serious about it. They continue putting resources into it. I would much rather be taking advantage of it right now than waiting another year and potentially costs going up because a lot more school districts are interested in pursuing it. So that would be my recommendation.
And I do want to point out there would be more costs because within Strauss Esme are resources for us that we would then have to purchase. So for example, we used to buy these books, right? NJSA 18A, 6A, the law. And every year the law changes, and so the books would come to the school districts. Each building principal would have one, the superintendent has one, the business administrator has one. We don't purchase them anymore because it's right inside. When we log into Strauss Esme, all the books are in there updated. They also send us administrators alerts on any changes to the law, which, once a year we go to legal training, but sometimes that's not until July or the end of June, and not every single update would be there. We get them on a regular basis from Strauss Esme. Just things like that.
So Superintendent McLaughlin, you're very comfortable with Strauss Esme, but you've also had opportunities to listen to NJSB and their program. What's your initial, opinion of NJSB's program versus Strauss Esme? And I understand the district has been using Strauss Esme for decades. So
I think it's hard to compare because it's apples and oranges. And Strauss Esme has over 500 school districts, and that's the go-to for everyone. And the few people I've spoken to, I don't think anyone in Somerset County even has New Jersey school boards. One has had it, and it's going back to Strauss Esme this month, actually. So I don't have a lot of experience with New Jersey school boards. I've always worked in districts that have Strauss Esme. And Strauss Esme offers so much more than New Jersey school boards can, especially now. And our wellness check, they said we're in good shape.
do you have regular communication with Strauss Esme?
Yes.
People that
I have a question. If we stay with Strauss Esme and we still have that relationship with New Jersey School Board, what Anya maybe is looking for is that, like seeking out that conversation and advice with New Jersey School Board. We have that contact person over there, right? That if we wanted to just gather more information, we can always do that as well.
Absolutely.
And they did give us a free wellness check, which was great. And it's a whole spreadsheet. There's not very much on it that needs to change.
Yeah, New Jersey School Board services all of New Jersey for boards of education. And just a handful are there for their policy part.
So once again, I just want to remind all of us that we are here to serve the community. I understand that Mary feels that, legal information shared with her regularly is important. I think legal information is public and can be, looked up at any point and shared, right? So I'm going to just refocus you guys just to this comment, because you're sending me in the path that I've already been through. So I'm not saying that Strauss Esme doesn't provide Mary and the administrators the right information from a legal perspective. What I'm saying is that for the community, as a parent, as somebody who would like to look up the school policy and have a clear understanding of what the policy states, how it's written, in the language that it's written. There's also, manuals we can create, right? Mary needs a manual of a certain process. We can definitely create it. If you look at their website, you can see all of their capabilities. I know Hunterdon is moving over to NJSBA. I know school districts in the southern Jersey have moved over to NJSBA. They've shared with me the whole process of getting the critical policy reference manual put together. They said they're extremely happy. It's clear understanding of what the school's expectations are, what the parents' expectations are, what the students' expectations are, right? So once again, I'm just gonna say it's an opportunity to do something meaningful for the school district and something different that will allow everyone to have access to information quickly and swiftly, and will allow me, being on the policy committee, which I thought I was making some of those recommendations based on the work that I've done over the last few years. So I would hope that you take that into consideration, because that's really why we're here. We're here to make sure that our school district reflects those things clearly to our community. So,
Is this your recommendation, Anya, or is it the policy committee's recommendation?
well, considering I'm the only one on the policy committee that can make that decision, yes, it's mine, but I've been at it for 2 years. You were with me the first year. This is not the first time we've had this discussion, right? So, I mean, I would think this isn't new. And I brought in the resources in here. I've gotten the wellness check. I continue bringing the resources on our call. I mean, I'm not quite sure what else I can do to convince you that this is probably the right move and a little bit of a different move for us that will just enhance the experience of the community and the school district. That's all it is. It's not going to ruin anything. It's just going to enhance it, in my opinion.
Any other discussion? All right, based on the discussion, Mr. Italiano, I'm going to ask you to recall the roll, please, for items 1.1 through 4.8.
Okay. Ms. Dowling?
I don't have enough information on 3.112, so I will abstain, and the rest, yes.
Noted, thank you. Ms. Franco-Herman?
Yes to all, no to 4.5, 4.6, and 3.12.
Noted, thank you. Dr. Wang?
Yes to all except 3.12.
Thank you. Ms. Filak?
Yes to all except for the assignments to ACI and committee for board member Christina Harris and Cookie Franklin Herbert.
Thank you. Ms. Harris?
Yes to all. I abstain from 4.5, 4.6, and no to 3.12.
Thank you. Ms. Jernigan?
I'm going to say yes to all but 3.13 with the same concern that board member Filak has on assignments of our appointments.
Noted, thank you. Ms. Norgon?
Yes to all except 3.10, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Spina?
Yes to all except for 3.12.
Mr. Todd?
Yes to all except for 3.12.
Just give me a moment before I say if the motion's carried or not, because I have to tally.
It's not hard to tally.
All right, motion's carry except for 3.12. 3.12 does not carry.
Absolutely. Put it back on
Todd.
the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Italiano. New business from the public. The Board of Education welcomes and encourages input from the public. Members of the public are allotted one opportunity to bring any new business to the board for up to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. All comments must be directed to the board. Before you make your comment, please state your full name and address and enter both on the Chromebook provided. Being mindful of privacy rights regarding students, board employees, and board members, and to avoid any potential liability on the part of the speaker, the board discourages defamatory and discourteous remarks. The public comment portions of the meeting are not structured as question and answer sessions. The board may need to refer an issue to the superintendent if the issue has not been handled through the appropriate chain of command, usually starting at the school level. Responses may be provided at the end of this session. Public comment portion is open.
Everyone,
Did you Richard?
oh yeah, I know the drill now. So I've been here long enough to actually realize that there's new faces here, so congratulations to all the new board members. I'm excited, for you to be here. So I've been here pretty consistently in the past 6 months, and unfortunately I missed the December meeting, which is particularly ironic because I thought I had a pretty good sort of holiday themed spiel. And as I was preparing my points for today's discussion, I thought, look, it's snowy, it's cold, it sort of looks like Christmas almost, so maybe I'll recycle what I was gonna say back in December. So if you don't mind, I'll kind of take you back a little bit and, we'll talk about the holiday real quick. So around this time in December, my son and I were watching a movie, a holiday movie. I probably should have said we were reading a book, considering the audience here, but it was a movie. We do read the book from time to time, but anyway. So, the movie, the book, the plot, the story. The movie is called The Grinch. And as I was watching the movie, I just couldn't help but build the parallels between the movie or the book, whichever you prefer, and our high school, which, as you know, from me talking about this issue for the past 6 months, closed the high school courts, tennis courts, from the public. So I am going to be very brief here. I want to totally disassociate the high school from the Grinch. And my plea to the Board of Education is, please don't let the high school look like the Grinch. Don't let me think of it as the Grinch. Don't let my kid think of it as the Grinch. These courts belong to the public. They were funded by the public. They are cherished by the public. Don't let them be a hostage of some arbitrary decision that was made 6 months ago and that prevents the community from using those courts. Appreciate your time. I think I still have a minute left, but I don't have much to say, so I'll just save it for somebody else. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Steve Han. I'm a resident of Rosewood Court, 44 Rosewood Court. I'm also.
John, can you bring the microphone up a little bit closer to you now?
Yeah. I'm also here for the high school courts. I haven't heard any new reports, any progress. So I assume that the process is still going on. The township is still negotiating with the board. On my way here, actually, today, I felt it's like the coldest day so far of this winter. And because it is so cold, so nobody is right now playing tennis outdoors. So I feel this is actually a perfect time for the board to work out an agreement with the township. So when the spring comes, when everybody was ready to play outdoors, and the courts are available to them. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shailesh Swarup. I live on 297 Sunset Road in Skillman. Congratulations to all the new board members here. I'm a parent of two boys, a junior in high school and my seventh grade student at UMS. So one of my child stood in a bone-chilling 20 degree, which felt like 3 degrees on a Tuesday morning, waiting for his school bus for more than 10 minutes. The delay was due to a substitute driver, and we were caught unaware of the tentative estimated time of arrival. Had we had access to a real-time bus tracking system, my child would have stayed indoors till the bus came close to the stop sign. Today we seek your support for a rightful cause. We request that all Montgomery schools be required to implement a real-time bus tracking system. This isn't just a demand, it's a solution that will help parents and students catch any delays and provide them with estimated time of arrival of the bus. This will consequently provide peace of mind to parents and ensure the safety, well-being and comfort of our students in both everyday situations and extraordinary circumstances. And what better day to pick today where it's 20-odd degrees, right? And same thing happened, although I had prepared this note a few days ago. My son had a delay of 10 minutes this morning, my junior in high school. The bus was supposed to come at 7:13, came around 7:21. Unlike in other towns, Montgomery schools provide bus to every student in our district, and we are very fortunate for this. Unfortunately, late running buses is still a challenge. This tracking system can be a critical tool to address this issue at a local level. We implore the decision makers, education stakeholders here, and other concerned parents to stand with us. Thank you. And I have an additional comment from my son here.
Hello, my name is Aniket Swaroop. I am a 7th grader in UMS, and that was my dad, if you guys were wondering. I'm sure you could tell. I came to add on about his discussion. I have had myself and my friends bear witness to this same situation. My friend, he lives in a cul-de-sac. He lives at the end of the cul-de-sac. It's around a 5 to 6 minute walk to the bus stop, which is at where the cul-de-sac meets with our road. He has to walk there every morning, and he always does. I actually think I miss the bus more than him, but even though he does have very strong legs, he can't stay there for more than 11 or 12 minutes without being extremely cold and extremely uncomfortable. It's not fair that he would have to stay out there for so long while kids in the bus who are at the edge of the road would be able to see the bus coming because he can't. So I've come to add on to my father's discussion, and for these reasons I think that real-time bus tracking should be implemented into our school district. Another reason that I think it should be implemented is because of the waste of fuel. As we know, staying in the cold too long is very, very dangerous. So many parents will offer to keep their kids in their car outside. And while this does seem like a good solution, it is not a permanent one, as fossil fuels would be burned in the process, and this would be harming our environment. Which adds on more to me and my dad's points, and I think that is all I have to say about this one. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Hearing none, public comment is now closed. Superintendent Block, any items you'd like to address at this time?
So regarding the tennis courts, we have drafted an agreement with the township, but we still haven't gotten the agreement back with the changes that they wanted to propose, so we will reach out again.
My fellow tennis players, we got you. We got you. We got you.
And what was the name of that you were referring to for the bus?
Bus tracking system.
It's
Real
just
time.
Real
Real time. I can get you some information on that.
There's other ones out there.
There are.
Yeah, there's like
That's a good
Safe
idea.
Fleet, Here Comes the Bus.
They're not that hard to put
Stop
in.
First
Finder.
Student Inc.
Could you send them to me?
Yeah.
And then I'll review them with my transportation coordinator, and
Yeah.
we can see the logistics on it.
Yeah.
It's charged per bus, they charge a certain amount.
I'm sure they do, but I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
like our
There's a
buses have
charge.
GPS and other things, so I'm sure it's pretty common nature. Hopefully it's cost effective, so we can look
A
into
mobile
it.
app, the parents can see.
Yeah, parents can
Yes.
see where the bus is so that they can bring the child at that moment.
Yes.
So they don't have to.
We'll
And then there are
research
so
it.
many other
I had to
advantages.
wait to
Yeah.
snow when I was young.
And notify delays and,
I grew up in the Midwest. It was cold, so that's something we certainly will look into. And young man, we appreciate your comments. Very well done.
Yes, thank
Very
you.
well done, young man. Very
Thinking
well done.
about the environment too.
Yes, very well done. Any items from the floor? Board members?
The only thing, can I just say, give some good positive feedback to the district on the communications initiatives of the strategic plan. I went to one of the first principal roundtables for LMS, which is where my youngest is, and there was a terrific talk that Mr. Romano and Mr. Pacino had on, basically our expectations of core values, and she talked a little bit about a book that I might say would be a good second book club book for the community and school district called Roadmap to Responsibility by Larry Thompson. When there's an educator-parent guide along with it, she has her staff reading it right now, talking about how discipline is really leadership and self-control. It was a really great roundtable discussion. They also put it out there for parents to talk a little bit about things that they would like, and a lot of parents did bring up the transitions, which I know is always a thing that we talk about a lot here. So that was my one thing, and my second, besides the roundtable, is again the idea of the lunch and learn that was brought up with Municipal Alliance. I mean, our community members specifically said at our strategic planning sessions that they wanted to be more involved with our students and to be able to impart some of their wisdom and stuff and connect the community with our students. And I think that these are two really great things that are good accolades for our communications piece of the strategic plan. So good job. Thank you.
And the superintendent roundtable is going to be Wednesday, February 5th at the high school media center, and the topic is the district safety and security. The email went out last week for signups.
Any other item from the floor? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to dismiss.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All those opposed say right. Abstentions? Thank you everyone for coming out on this frigid night. Get home carefully.